Beth had had a perfect pregnancy. Worked out 3 times a week, great nutrition, great, prenatal care, good doctors, everything perfect.
A new life begins, but Lindsay's birth turns into her parents' worst nightmare.
Well, she didn't cry, so we knew right away something was wrong.
Despite their efforts to resuscitate her, the doctors felt Lindsay's only chance for survival was to get her to Children's Hospital. Time was running out.
What we came to understand is that every minute, every second counts.
Children's Hospital, at more than 200 miles away, immediately dispatched their life flight helicopter with a life-saving team of pediatric specialists.
That they had that helicopter and that the weather cleared so she could get there quickly. We'll never know the value of that.
As the chopper landed, the medical team rushed Lindsay directly to the neonatal intensive care unit. The NICU team worked diligently to save her life.
My first impression was that this is one of the sickest babies we've had in this nursery in a long time.
They showed us a picture of her lungs, and they didn't know that her lungs were large enough to sustain her life.
Lindsay's parents, who just hours before were anticipating the birth of their precious daughter, were now terrified they were going to lose her.
They can't touch her. They can't even speak to her. And we're telling them at the same time that we may or may not be able to save her life.
And then Lindsay's condition was worsening. It wasn't getting better. And they came to us and told us that they wanted to put Lindsay on what they call ECMO unit.
ECMO is extracorporeal membrane oxygenation, which basically means you oxygenate the blood outside the body.
The patient's blood, a large portion of the patient's blood, is actually diverted from a large catheter that's placed in the veins of the neck, and this blood is taken by the pump and is run through a machine which will both add oxygen to the blood and remove carbon dioxide from the blood.
When a decision's made to put a child on ECMO, you're looking at the possibility of their mortality being very high.
For 12 days, Lindsay fought for her life on ECMO.
And then she came back to the neonatal intensive care unit. Still not totally out of the woods yet, still requiring a lot of support.
Barry and Sabra just connected immediately, and they had a deal, I found out later.
So I did talk to Sabra and I said, you just need to tell me if there comes a time based on your experience where all of this just isn't the right thing to do and doesn't make sense. I'm looking to you to help me understand when we hit that moment, if God forbid we ever hit it. And we never did. But I trusted her completely on helping me understand when that would have been if we ever would have been there.
After months of uncertainty, Lindsay's condition improved enough to wean her from the oxygen. Plans were made for her to go home.
We had packed a bag and we had gone down to take her home. And they were seeing something that they didn't like, so they came and did an EKG and an ultrasound of the heart, and the right side of her heart had started to get large, and it was getting large because it was working too hard. So at that point, the recommendation became to place a tracheostomy tube in Lindsay.
She got her trach, and it was just, she was a different child. She was smiling more, she was laughing, just because it had all gotten so much easier.
To be able to play with toys, to be able to have Mom pick her up and hold her and kiss on her face, her development really started to blossom once she got her trach and was not restrained near as much.
Lindsay stayed at Children's Hospital several additional months. Finally, the day came when her family could take her home.
So we're going to get into the ambulance to go home, and we're crying, and they're crying, and everybody's crying. And I remember one of the respiratory therapists, a guy named Chuck, who we call Uncle Chuck, he reaches down, he's got his hospital gown on, he's up wiping his eyes with it because he's crying. And it was a big deal. It was just like leaving your family.
It's just a special place. Everyone works together so well. It kind of brings the teamwork out in people when you see a sick child. If ever there was an innocent victim, it's a child.
Lindsay is alive today because of the loving support of her family and her lifelong friends at Children's Hospital. Together, they continue to watch Lindsay grow and celebrate the gift of life that is now hers.
I got you. I got you. I got you. Really?